Hello, my name is Daniela Camacho. I will be answering question number 3, which is why is voter turnout so low in the United States? What are the consequences of low turnout? How can citizen participation be increased in the United States? So to start off, the United States was established upon democracy with putting a huge emphasis on the importance of people's voices. Part of democracy is the fact that people do have a voice and what they want. And they have the option to vote yes or no as far as not only people and representatives, but also with laws and bonds and anything really. The government has given the people the opportunity to participate in everything. Unfortunately, voter turnout is pretty low in the United States, despite the fact that we promote democracy. We're one of the big nations that a lot of other countries look for to be set up in a democratic republic very similar to ours. But the voter turnout is low. And why is that? I personally believe that it's so low because citizens truly think that their voice and opinion doesn't matter and that their voice doesn't affect anything. They just say, well, my vote, it's gonna go. And it's not going to matter because other majority are going to end up winning anyway, so my vote doesn't matter. And I feel like that just very simple mentality of my vote doesn't matter across our citizens is very unfortunate, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons that voter turnout is so low. Voters don't have the confidence in their voice or in their legislator or in their state republic person or in the country to think that their one vote counts. And I think that's why it's so low, especially with minority groups and women. Minority groups see themselves as just a minority because that's just what they're painted as. So that's all they think of when it comes to voting. They don't think about how many voices of the minority groups can actually make a huge difference when it comes to different numerous types of elections. As far as what are the consequences of low turnout, the consequences are that the groups of people who don't turn out to vote are the ones who are least represented, which means it's like an endless cycle. You don't go out to vote, you don't get represented. You don't get represented, you're upset, and that leads back to not having the confidence because since you're not represented enough, you don't think that your voice makes a difference. So the consequences, it's a less diverse, both house, government, state legislature, city. It's just less diverse. Usually when only one specific group, of people just go out to vote, they are the ones who get represented because they're the ones who voted. So they're always going to continuously vote to make sure that their section of the population is taken care of. And unfortunately, those who don't turn out to vote are misrepresented across the entire bureaucracy and government, which is very unfortunate. And it does not benefit anybody really in the long run. And as far as how can citizen participation be increased in the United States, I would say definitely it starts from education. Like in schools, it has to be pushed that no matter how it may seem that your vote isn't important, it really is. Like every single vote counts, and making sure that everyone gets educated on that is very crucial because when people know what's going on, when people know who is participating, who is running for a specific office, what they believe for, what they stand for, I feel like voter knowledge will increase. And by being more knowledgeable on what you're voting on, you're more likely to vote because a lot of people do go out and vote, but they'll just vote because they'll see a name they recognize, or they'll be like, oh, okay, that name sounds cool, let me just vote for that person. I've seen their signs, let me vote for that one too. So, but they're not really voting on like the actual ideals and ideologies that these people actually stand for. So education is really important, and I feel like if we really truly push it through both our schools, universities, media, social media is a big part of citizen participation. Recently, like for example, our President Donald Trump, his biggest canvas to spread his message was Twitter. Like that's how he got a lot of people to get involved with his campaign. That's how he made sure a lot of people heard him out, heard what he had to say, and that's a huge deal. Like, people my age, my generation, are more likely to believe something on Twitter than on Fox News, which is sad, but not really sad, but it's the truth. Whatever is presented to us through Twitter news is more credible than some random person, news anchor, delivering a news report. So I think using that social media to boost up voters' confidence and boost up that education and the knowledge of why voting is so important. Like, why do you need to vote? Like, in these recent election, people really went out there and voted. It's been, I believe, one of the best turnouts, not the best turnout ever, but it was one of a better turnout for smaller elections. And because of that, a lot of minority groups went out there and voted. And for example, I believe it was Virginia, the first trans woman became a state legislator, which is a huge deal for the LGBTQ community and women too. Like, that's a huge deal. Same thing. Many mayors have become like the first African American males and first African American female in North Carolina. Her name, I'm sorry, I left my mind. So it's a big deal. A lot of state legislators who have been in seats for decades got kicked out of their seats, got voted out actually, that's better verbiage, because people went out there and voted and made sure that their opinion was heard, that their vote counted. And so I think that whole social media that really powered up, like really motivated, I guess, the younger generations, and that helped out a lot too. And it's changing, our government is changing. I think it's time we're modernizing, and by modernizing, I believe that citizens will start to participate more, and that voter turnout is going to increase little by little as people gain confidence in themselves and in the government. So I think that's going to be one of the biggest things. So unfortunately, voter turnout is very low in the United States currently, but I do believe it is going to increase over time. I think the government confidence, trust has been really low in the past couple of years, at least as long as I've been knowledgeable and been able to actually live through it. But I think it's not necessarily increasing as far as trust in their government, but more so I think citizens are starting to gain the confidence that, hey, we live in a democracy, we want to be in charge of our country, because the government is made to support the citizens, not the citizens to support the government. So that's going to be my answer. That's it.